Good morning, One Life. My name is Adam Stewart. I'm filling in for David Hosh today. David is unfortunately got sick this weekend and is not with us today, so we will make do and we'll get through this and everything will go well. Again, we'd like to thank everyone for joining us and taking some time out of your Monday schedule to get connected and join us for this call. Everyone's line is muted at the moment. We will unmute the line towards the end. We'll have a question and answer portion, so please be mindful of that. We're honored today to have Brother Mike Boles with us. He is the pastor here at Evangel Temple, where we're actually doing our call from today. And he is also affectionately referred to as One Life's chaplain. He's been involved with One Life for many years, and we're honored to have him with us today. Many of you have probably met him or at least had an opportunity to speak with him. If you've been to one of our national sales conventions, I'm sure you have had that opportunity, and he oftentimes will lead a devotion and prayer at our awards banquet. So we're very honored to have him with us today. He is a true man of God, and I'm sure you'll find what he has for us today to be very, very worthwhile of your time. His son, Jonathan, also works with us here at One Life in our marketing department, making a lot of things happen on the technical side and behind the scenes. So without further ado, Brother Mike.
All right. Good morning. I hope y'all are doing well. I want you to know that our church prays for y'all quite regularly. As one of our missions of this church is to uphold the people that are living for God and working in the fields as y'all do and doing all the great things you're doing. Scripture I'm going to read to you today is one of my favorite, and also the man that started this company, Kim Parker, is one of his favorite scriptures as well. I don't know if he's listening today, but he'll know it when I begin to read it. It's Isaiah 40, verse 31. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. There's a word I'm going to talk about there, and it's probably one y'all don't like to hear because most of you guys probably are motivated salesmen, and when you give a pitch, you want to hear, yes, I will receive this insurance. What's this? What do you call it? Insurance what? Policy. Yes, I'm going to receive this policy. But when you hear somebody say, I'll wait, I know that kind of gets on your skin, because usually when somebody says the word wait, that means they're going to put you off. And probably it's a way that they can say, I'm not going to buy right now. So that kind of hurts the old ego. But in this particular passage, the Lord is speaking, but they that wait upon the Lord. Let me tell you what that means in the Hebrew. Wait means to look for. It means to expect. It means to linger for. So what it's saying, but they that linger, they that wait, they that hope for, they that look for the Lord shall renew their strength. And I'm telling you, if you need anything this day, you need the Lord. This world is in a mess. I watch the news. I'm a regular Fox News watcher. And I see a lot of things that's happening all over the world that makes you think something's got to happen, or this is not going to last very long. But I'm going to tell you, the only way out, the only way, there's no other way but Jesus. So this verse to me is saying that if you look for the Lord, you hope for the Lord, you expect, you linger for Him, He will be there. The Bible says He sticketh closer than a brother with us, for us. He's for you. We pray and we ask Him in the name of Jesus to help you, to guide you, to lead you. He sent the Holy Spirit, that the Holy Spirit would lead you and guide you and help you in all things, even bring things to your remembrance, what the Word says. So we pray for you regularly, as I said, but we want you to know, sometimes when you hear the word wait, you may get put off by it, but God is saying something else. We must linger for Him, linger for His presence. We must want with all of our heart and expect for Him to do something great in our life. As I said, this world's in a mess, but He's coming back. I believe He's coming back soon. And He loves you, and He's got a place prepared for all of us. It's not going to be like this. We don't have to toil with the sweat of our brow anymore. He's going to take us to a place that He talks about in His Word, heaven, and it's going to be a beautiful place. Well, I want to encourage you today, when you hear that word wait, don't always think it's going to be a put-off, because God's not putting you off. He says He's going to renew your strength. You're going to mount up with wings as an eagle, run and not be weary. and we will walk and not faint, and that means we won't give up. So don't give up. God bless you all.
All right, thanks, Brother Mike. We certainly appreciate that message, and I'm sure that everyone listening will also find that to be a blessing to them. Just a couple of things to run over. Our March Madness contest kicked off last week, and that event, of course, will continue this week. So this is the last week to take advantage of that. So if you haven't had that in your mind, please make sure and put forth that effort to be at the top of that event. We also have our Academy and our Leadership Summit coming up on March the 23rd through the 25th. I know many of you have probably attended an Academy. If you've attended the Academy, we'd love to have you at our Leadership Summit. I can promise you there's been a lot of work already done towards that event, and it will be, I guarantee, a phenomenal event. We have some great speakers lined up, and again, I have no doubts that you'll find that event to be very beneficial to not only your business, but just your personal development. So we beg you to please, if you have not registered for that event yet, please make every effort to have that done as quickly as possible. We're still working on some of our arrangements, and that's going to be dictated to some extent by how many people we have at the event. So please make every effort to make sure you register for that event if you have not done so at this point. Also, we want to encourage you to follow our social media. We've got a YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, recently added an Instagram account. So make sure if you haven't followed any of those yet that you do that. At this point, I do want to cover our production report from the week of February the 16th through February the 20th. Our agent of the week was no familiar to the top spot. That's Mr. Keith Johnson out of our Metter, Georgia office. And Keith turned in $11,251.80 of production that week. So congratulations, Keith, on having that top spot for the week. Coming in at second was Christopher Lewis with $9,223 of production. Third was a newcomer to the One Life family, Mr. Jerry Forrest, who lives in Jackson, Mississippi, with $8,693. Fourth was Jeffrey Arroyo with $8,302 of production. Coming in at fifth was Brian Greenwood with $8,021 of production. Sixth was Stephen Thornton, $7,859. Seventh was Timothy McCabe with $7,331 of production. Eighth was Scott Shaddy, $7,013. Ninth was Keith Reel with $6,483 of production. And rounding out the top 10 is also a new member to the One Life family, Mr. Thomas Jackson. I had the chance to meet him a couple of weeks ago. He had $5,924 of production. Also want to encourage you, many of you have met Derek Moore. You've been privy to maybe some of his online postings. Derek has his own website now. It's onelifeamerica.com/Derek Moore. We strongly encourage you to like that page and save it in your bookmarks. Derek's regularly uploading motivational videos to that site, and I'm sure you'll find those to be beneficial. Derek's just a phenomenal asset to the One Life family, and so we want to encourage you to take advantage of that and make sure you tune in to his Motivational Monday videos and take the opportunity to check out his website. At this point, I want to introduce our guest speaker. We have with us Mr. Joe Burt. Joe is the president and CEO of TGC Insurance Groups, and he and his company are fairly new to the One Life family. They have a broker relationship with One Life, and they've been with One Life now for going on 4 months, and we're certainly honored to have that relationship with Joe and his group. Joe has experienced a tremendous amount of success in his short time in the insurance industry. He's going on 6 years now, and Joe also served in the U.S. Navy, so we're also very thankful for that. And in his spare time, he enjoys spending time with his 2 kids, Braden Cooper, and his wife, Shawn. He enjoys boating and volunteering, and Joe embraces and loves life, even though life has thrown him a few curveballs. We all face difficult times, but I'm sure you'll find Joe's story to be very inspirational and very humbling. and I'm sure you'll be captivated by what he has to say. Joe's a battler, and I know that you'll realize that by the end of his session. So if you will give your attention to Joe, Mr. Joe Burt.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. Hey, guys. Like Adam said, my name is Joe Burt, and I have been married for 11 years to my beautiful wife, Shawn, and we have 2 boys, Braden, who is 10, and Cooper, who is 7. And I just want to thank One Life. I'm honored to be asked to be on the call and share with you guys my story. It was just when I got the phone call from David, it was just awesome that they thought enough that I could share with you guys. And my hope is by the end of this call that I can share something with you that is going to help you in your personal life, first off, and then also in your business life. And just coming into One Life, just kind of real quick, I've been part of other organizations, and the first time I came down to One Life in Meridian, it was just an amazing opportunity to meet the family, the One Life family, and just very much appreciative of what Ken Parker has put together for everyone. I believe going on 31 years now. And to meet Scotty and Adam and David Hausch, it's just been an amazing opportunity. And real quick, I just kind of go into my background real quick. I attended, like Adam said, I was in the Navy for a couple years. I did not go to college. School was not my thing, not something I'm proud of, but I was not the school type of person. So I decided to join the military, and it was a good experience. I was the last batch that they offered the 2-year versus 4-year. And then after I got out of the Navy, I really had no idea what I was going to do. I was kind of bouncing around job to job, and then I was out with a buddy one night, and he told me I could make $100,000 in the mortgage industry, and that was been my goal since I was 15 years old. I remember telling my dad that when I got out of school, that's really my main focus was to find something that I could make $100,000, because that was kind of my benchmark of what rich people were back then. I'm 38 now, so that was quite a while ago. But I stayed in the mortgage business for about 9 years, and in the mortgage industry, I had a tremendous amount of success. I started out as a telemarketer and quickly got promoted to be a loan officer. In the first 9 months in the industry, I made about $120,000. So I immediately thought that was my ticket to financial freedom. Unfortunately, I decided to open up my own company. And at the end of 2008 is when the market kind of took a dive and the bottom fell out of the mortgage market. And unfortunately, at that time, I went with it. So I was working for a subprime lender, or I was submitting all of my business through the subprime lending market. And at that point, that was not the best decision I had made. So I had to let go of that company. And then I'd always dreamed of being financially free and not having to worry about living my life, by a dollar bill, if you want to say that. And I didn't really know how I was going to accomplish that, and I thought that I had accomplished that with the mortgage company. Unfortunately, I chose the wrong industry to be in at that time. And I knew in my heart that God was going to guide me to the right places and put the right people in my life that would ultimately help me accomplish my goals and my dreams that I had to take care of my family. And again, getting back to my first visit down to Meridian, I really felt like that was, and at the end of my story, it kind of leads up to that, but I really felt like God, He's driven my life to be a part of the One Life family, and I really feel that He's put the right people in my plate, in my life to accomplish that. And I've always dreamed, of my wife not having to work a job. I wanted her to be home and taking care of the kids if that's what she chose. And I never really wanted to have my kids to want for anything, not to be spoiled. But, if they wanted to do something that cost money, then I didn't want to have to tell them no. Does that make sense? So really a question I have for everybody on the call is, have you written down your dreams and your goals? And there's a quote that I like. It was in, I believe it's in Success, the Glenn Bland Method. I'm big on reading books. And I write down a lot of quotes and file them away, for instance, for things like this that I can share with you that hopefully it would help you in your business. But men and women who have goals and plans dictate to others, while men and women who have no goals and plans are dictated to. And I take that quote very seriously. I took that book very seriously. It was one of the books that changed my business and changed my life. So I encourage you to write down goals, write down your dreams, write down your plans, and put it on paper. Having it in your mind is not – there's something about putting it down on paper and visualizing it and seeing it and keeping it with you at all times will develop in your subconscious mind to lead you to that direction. So to kind of get into the business, I answered a Craigslist ad back in October of 2008. It was an ad that said something about leads in the mortgage protection industry and the final expense industry, and I immediately was attracted to the mortgage protection side of the business. And so I decided to go ahead and get my license, and there's a timeline here if you guys want to follow. I was not the fastest guy to get started in the insurance business and be successful. Like I said, October 15th of 2008, I answered a Craigslist ad. February 28th of 2009, I finally passed my test after 3 times. And May of 2009 is when I finally got my start. So that's when I first started dialing leads and first engaged in the business. So keep in mind, when I came into this insurance industry and this business, I came in with a very, I guess you could say, a large ego, and I had a kind of a confidence that, to me, looking back, was not the right confidence and not the right attitude. I came in and I was going to crush this thing, and I was going to be a millionaire overnight, and it was going to be on like Donkey Kong. And the reason I was like that was being successful in the mortgage industry and having so much success in the mortgage industry, and also outside of the mortgage industry, I had got into investment properties, and I was up to about 20, 25 houses. Well, to kind of go back, when I lost my mortgage company, I also had to lose a lot of the houses in order. I had to sell some. I lost a couple just to stay afloat. And so I had all this success, and so when I came into this industry, I just thought I was going to smoke it. And I would not listen to anybody. Nobody could tell me what to do because I knew everything. Well, my very first 3 weeks in the business, I had scheduled 6 appointments for 3 weeks in a row, so a total of 18 appointments. And I went 0 for 18 my first 3 weeks in this business. 0 applications. I didn't pick up 1 check, no premium, nothing at all. So I was humbled very, very, very fast in this business. Most people that I have encountered that come into this business and they go 0 for 18 in their first 18 houses won't make it long in this business. So I just had that attitude that I could do this. I had seen other people be successful, and there was nothing that was going to stop me from being successful, and I was going to run through a brick wall if I had to make my dreams come true, because I literally see the insurance industry as a vehicle to accomplish all of the goals and dreams that I mentioned earlier about being financially free, my wife staying home from work. I saw this industry as a way to get there. And so after I swallowed my pride, I really realized that I needed some help. And there was a good friend of mine that he recommended that I start reading and listening to audio. And the only book I ever read was just, it's pretty funny, the only book I had ever read was Where the Red Fern Grows. The only book ever that I have ever completely read from cover to cover was Where the Red Fern Grows. And when I got in this business, and my friend recommended this to me, I started reading. And the first book I read when I got in the industry was Read and Get Rich. And it teaches you how to read, because obviously I hadn't read many books, so I needed to learn how to read, what to take from it, how to comprehend it. And then from then on, I used that tool out of that book, all the tools in that book, to start reading, taking notes, and listening to audio to really kind of develop myself personally and professionally in the business. And he was successful. So I was like, well, if he's successful and he can do it, and that's what he's telling me to do, then obviously that's what I should be doing. So association was another thing that he had mentioned to me, and getting around the right people that were in life where I wanted to be personally and professionally. So, for example, we've got the One Life leadership event coming up in March, and I believe March 23rd through the 25th. So when you have an opportunity to get around the top leaders of a company like One Life, my recommendation would be to absolutely whatever you have to do to make that event. I would recommend doing what you need to do. Whether it's, I'm not sure what you have to do. There's always obstacles and sacrifices that you're going to have to make. But getting around the One Life leadership like Ken Parker, Scotty, and just associating with those people is going to make you better. And so I recommend also, if you have a spouse, if you're married, if you have a significant other, a girlfriend, a fiance, whatever the situation is, bring them along with you so they know what you're out there fighting for. So I highly recommend that. And association has been the number one thing that has helped me in this industry and in this business, is getting around the people that were in life where I wanted to be in this business, and again, professionally and personally. So it's like, if I was going to play, like my son, it's like he's really good at swimming. So my 7-year-old, Cooper, he's really awesome at swimming. So if I want him to excel in swimming and be the number one swimmer like Michael Phelps, I'm not going to get him around football players. I'm not going to get him around baseball players. I'm going to have him associate, and I'm going to associate with people that are in that sport to ask questions, to learn the sport, to learn how to do the strokes. And I'm going to ask the top people in that sport so he can associate and he can be the best that he can be at swimming. And wherever it takes him, he's obviously going to make the choices and the decisions of how much training he's going to do. But again, he's going to associate with the people that are in that sport where he wants to be, not another sport. It's like asking a football player, how do you do the backstroke? Does that make sense? So association is key, and again, I recommend getting to the event, whatever you guys have to do. And all right, so where am I going from here? All right, so I got that. So I'm going to kind of transition into some of my personal life. So I was building the business from 2009 all the way to 2012, and I was running pretty hard. And I had built my business where I was running roughly about $250,000 of annual premium monthly. And on November 29th of 2012, my stomach started hurting, and really couldn't figure out what was going on. And so that night on the 29th, I decided that I was going to go to the hospital and get it checked out. Well, they said that I was having an appendicitis. And I was like, all right, I don't really know what appendicitis is, but do what you got to do. So they went in, did emergency surgery, and 4 days later, the 25th is when I had my appendicitis. And then 4 days later, it was just an in-and-out surgery. I was out of the hospital like in 6-8 hours, not a big deal. And then 4 days later, on the 29th, I got a phone call about 5:30 that evening, and the doctor, it was a Friday, and the doctor told me that I had appendix cancer. And it's a rare type of cancer, but when they went in to take out the appendix, there was a tumor growing inside of there, and they told me that a time frame it had been growing for about 5 to 7 years, and thank God that it was there and that it was growing, because that's what caused the appendicitis, which tipped me off to go in and have the surgery so it could have been removed, or so it could be removed. And so when I got that news, again, it was 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I was 36 years old at that time, and I had 2 boys, married. My first initial thought was, have I done enough? Because when you hear that word cancer, automatically the prognosis, usually everybody relates that to death. And that's exactly what I did. And I started questioning my faith. I started questioning God. It was like, have I done enough to take care of my family? Why do I have cancer? Why is this happening to me? I'm not that bad of a person. I know I've made mistakes in my life, but it was just so difficult for me to overcome in my mind that it was happening to me. And kind of get past that real quick, I had the surgery. I had my surgery on December 31st of 2012. And that's where they removed about 10 inches of my colon, and I had a bunch of other stuff in my abdomen region that was removed. And I went through 9 rounds of chemotherapy. And then June of 2013, they gave me the no evidence of disease. I was cancer free, so I was a survivor of cancer at that point. In June 4th of 2013 was my last treatment. So it was very difficult during that time for me to wrap my mind, like I said, around having cancer. I didn't know whether I was going to die. I didn't know what was ahead for me in the beginning. It was very, very difficult. I was asking myself, how could God do this to me and my family? And I had very twisted up thoughts that were in my mind. And all I could think about was, have I done enough for my family to have a great life if I were to die? Were my family and my kids going to be taken care of? it was an emotional roller coaster after I was diagnosed. And I was on that emotional roller coaster. It wasn't that long. It may seem that long as I'm talking, but December 20th, it was about a month. December 20th, I came to grips with the situation, and I had a cultural advisor, spiritual advisor that I had always been talking to for the past couple years prior to me getting cancer. So I was close. I was close to him, and he had a conversation with me on that evening, and I realized that God was in control of my life, and that I had to turn this situation over to Him, and He would take care of me and my family, and the outcome would be what God had put me here to be. And so from that day, my mindset totally changed. The physical struggle wasn't over for me, but the mental part of being diagnosed was over. And I put my faith in God, and that gave me a sense of calm. It gave me a sense of peace, and I was okay with it. And like I said, the physical struggle wasn't over, but mentally I was ready to move forward. And keep in mind, prior to that, I was used to fixing things on my own. I never, I was always in control of situations, and I was, it's like guys, like your wife comes to you and she starts talking to you, she starts giving you all of her feelings, and immediately if she's talking about a problem, us guys automatically go into fix-it mode. Like we want to fix the situation, and all they really want us to do is listen to them, right? But so I was that guy. I always wanted to fix things, and I realized that I could not fix this problem. I could not fix this challenge, that the only way I was going to get through this is turning my life over to God, and it was very difficult for me. It really was. And it was just because I had mentally, for 36 years, I had been fixing everything. Not 36 years, but, once I got older. But I had been fixing everything, and I was successful at fixing everything. And so having to make that switch was very difficult. But when I made the switch in my head and turned it over to God, it was over. Mentally, I was at peace, like I said. So fast forward, kind of December 5th of 2014, I went back to work after I was cancer-free. Everything was good. Life was good. I went back to building a business, went back to writing insurance, building my team, my organization, and never really had much trouble after that. I recovered pretty quick and started working out again. Everything was awesome. Well, December 5th of this past year, 2014, I had to go into the hospital. I was having some stomach issues, and they took a scan, did the X-ray, the whole deal. Well, unfortunately, cancer has returned, and it's reared its ugly head again. And so December 5th is when I got the news, went in, they did emergency surgery, found the cancer, and they had to close me back up. And the doctor went out into the waiting room and told my wife that he didn't really know how much longer I had to live. And he said maybe 6 months, maybe a year. Well, obviously, he didn't really know who he was talking to because I wasn't going out like that, first off. So it hit my wife, Sean, like a ton of bricks. And I really didn't know what was going on because I had just gotten out of surgery. I was recovering. I was on pain meds. And, I was just not coherent enough to understand, and they were trying to hide it from me. And I was just like, I had turned this over to God a long time ago, and I had already reconciled that whatever he was in control of my life. So the news didn't hit me as hard as it hit my wife. And I was just like, it's not over. This situation is not over. I'm not going out like that. So we got out of the hospital, and I've been doing rounds of chemo since, I believe, December 30th was my first round of chemo. And I just finished up my last round a couple weeks ago. And so I'm scheduled to have surgery March 17th. That's in a couple weeks in Baltimore, Maryland. So if you don't mind saying a little prayer for me, March 17th, St. Patty's Day, Luck of the Irish, that's when I'm going back in for my big surgery. And it'll be in Baltimore, Maryland. So the prognosis is very good, and I'm looking forward to getting it over with and moving on to a very healthy life again. And so as I went through that experience and some of the challenges, it's really about how you think and being very positive and knowing that God has everything in control in your life. And so to kind of relate some of that stuff to the business is going to have ups and downs. There's going to be days, there's going to be challenges, there's going to be struggles, and like the name of the call, I said, storms come and go. Well, my storm that I had back in 2012 has came, and it was gone. I've got another one that I'm in right now, but it's going to be over. And so the business is very similar, not to cancer, obviously, but the ups and downs of the business. You go out on 6, 7 appointments. You might get no-showed on 3, 4 of them. There's going to be struggles. There's going to be challenges. But know and keep the faith that we're out there doing good things for families, and we're giving them life insurance products and taking care of their families, and know that you're doing good things, and good things will happen for you. You will reap what you sow. Does that make sense? So to kind of And two, think about the system that we've got in place here at One Life. There's a lead program that is just unheard of. That you have the opportunity to grab a hold of the system, let the system work for you. One Life's been around for 31 years, going on 31 years. Obviously, it works. Somebody told me a long time ago to take something that works and just copy it. It costs too much money and too much time to start reinventing the wheel. And One Life has the system in place for you, for myself, to be successful in this industry. We just have to grab a hold of it. Again, I'll bring up the March event. I can't stress enough and encourage you enough to get to the event, get around the top leaders, ask them questions. They've done it. They've been there. They've been successful. They are successful at the present time, and you can be too. I promise you, you can be. Associating with the people, though, that are in the business, that are doing the things that you want to do, getting around them and asking as many questions as you possibly can. Okay? So kind of wrap up to the call. And am I right on time?
Yeah,
good. All right. So during my first diagnosis, I wasn't able to work for about 6 months. All right. One of the awesome things about what this business has done for me and my family, during that 6 months, my income did not change, okay? And the reason my income didn't change is because I went out and built the business, and I hired agents, and I served my agents, and so they stayed with me during this time, and they went out and sold business, and I got the override on all of my organization's business. So I was very grateful for that and very appreciative to know that I could just come home from surgery, go through chemo, and rest and relax and recover at peace, knowing financially that we didn't have to struggle during that time. And I was able, like I said, to recover and not worry about money. And my wife, she's not worked a job in 7 years, okay? She's able to stay home with the kids. She's there every day when they get off the bus, so to say. They actually don't get off a bus, but my kids are able to go to a private Montessori school. They're not spoiled. They're very respectful kids. I don't want it to sound like, my kids are, spoiled and they get everything they want. We're raising them to be very respectful, and they might be spoiled, but they do understand hard work and work ethic, and that's what we're drilling into their brain. And, this business has allowed me to do all of that. This business has also allowed me to take I've been on 8 trips, all exclusive, or all-inclusive, paid for by insurance carrier. My wife and I went to Fiji for 10 days. I've been on 2, I think 5 6-star cruises. I didn't even know there was a 5-star cruise, but we went on 2 of them. I've been to Cabo San Lucas, just to mention a couple. But it's all been paid for by carriers. It's what this business has allowed me to travel like that. And during my first diagnosis, when I was going through chemo, I had qualified for a trip to Aruba. Doctor said I could not go. So my wife, and she took my at that point he was 6, and he got a passport. Like, what 6-year-old gets a passport? And it was just crazy that this business allowed me, that my 6-year-old had a passport to go to Aruba on a trip to just enjoy life for 7-10 days. I can't remember how long the trip was, with his mom. It was just her and him on the trip, and he had an awesome time. It fell on his birthday, and it was just an amazing experience for him to have. And again, this business has allowed me to do that. And I really don't live my life anymore by the dollar bill. Like, I can make decisions, obviously I'm not rich and I'm not a millionaire in this industry, but I don't have to worry about spending money like I used to prior to this industry. Does that make sense? And like I said, this business has made some of my dreams come true, not all of them. I'm not close to even where I want to go and where this business is going to take me and where it's going to leave me. We still have goals. We still have dreams. And, again, I want to thank One Life and Scotty and David and Adam and Ken for having me on the call. And, I just hope that something that I said has helped you out. If you're going through some storms right now in life, there's another quote I'm going to read to you, and I'm going to wrap it up. But I want you to know this. It's a Les Brown quote, and I'm not sure if anybody listens to Les Brown, but it says, he says, if you fall, make sure you land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. And that's pretty much what I want to say. One Life family, you guys have an awesome week, awesome month, and I hope that I get to meet every one of you on this call at some point in the near future. And I'm going to turn this back over to Adam. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Joe. We certainly appreciate that. And, sitting here by Joe, listening to him speak, it, certainly helps you put into perspective, the things that we face. And, oftentimes when I think I'm dealing with something that I don't like, it really, when you hear Joe's story, it really helps you to put that in perspective. And, Joe, we appreciate you taking the time to share your story with us, and I'm sure that everyone on the call found it to be very motivational and inspirational. At this time, we are going to open the lines. If anyone has any questions for Joe or mute, you want to make sure you hit *6. That will unmute your line. And, Joe, I would just like to start with just one brief question. I think I might know what your answer is going to be, but, in life, we all face difficult times of varying degrees. Obviously, I'm sure that probably most people on the call hasn't faced a challenge of the magnitude that you're dealing with. What would be your advice for someone that is right now going through a difficult time?
My advice would be to some people, whatever your challenge is, whatever the struggle that anybody is going through, they automatically go to the negative. There's a book that helped me out a great deal when I first got diagnosed. It's Stop Worrying and Start Living, and I for some reason I'm going blank on who the author was, but it was Stop Worrying and Start Living. And just remember that, like I said earlier, God has a plan for you, and He will, He will guide you and direct you and open up doors for you, if you ask Him to. And that's really my advice. That's what got me through. That's what changed my mental frame of mind when I was diagnosed, and it really put me at peace. And getting into the Word, I do a Bible study or devotion in the morning. I make it a habit, and I would highly recommend that. But just stay positive and stay strong, and get into listening to audios, being around positive people, and making sure that the people around you are positive and that are there for a support system for you.
All right, I do believe we have a caller with a question. Not sure the name. The phone number ends in 0198. If you're still there, go ahead with your question.
Sure. I just wanted to thank management at One Life for these weekly sessions. It certainly makes a big difference for me. I'm a new agent. And, Joe, I also wanted to thank you for your testimony. That's an awesome testimony, so thank you so much for being honest, and I will pray for you on the 15th. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? All right. If we have no other questions, I would like to end with a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It says, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." Again, we would like to thank everyone for joining us on the call. We'd especially like to thank Joe and Brother Mike for being with us and giving of their time and sharing with us. And we hope everyone has a blessed week, and may God be with you. Thanks a lot.